Tẹ́bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wá. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọ́. Ẹ dákun ẹ̀yin òbí wa. Tẹ́bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wá. Ẹ dákun ẹ̀yin òbí wa. Tẹ́bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wá.
Education is the ability to listen to almost anything without losing your temper or self-confidence. With this quote from Robert Frost, I welcome you to another edition of this wonderful program on radio, Education Today. Education Today is a program that aims to call attention of the public to education matters as they affect the effective running of the educational system and the achievement of educational goals. This comes on air every Saturday from 3 o'clock p.m. to 4 p.m. West African time on this station Light Radio. Our goal is to educate, inform, orientate, and entertain the society on educational matters, address issues affecting the educational system, influence public opinion, and drive effective educational policy directions to guide the formulators and implementers. For your comments, questions, and contributions, you can reach us on Facebook via www.facebook.com/lightradio, Twitter @TheLightRadio, Instagram light_radio, YouTube Light Radio. You can also call or send us a message via SMS or WhatsApp on 0809-738-4000. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, the program continues. Please stay with us. If you just joined in, you are listening to Education Today on Light Radio. We kick off with the news segment. Science, Technology, Education, key to national development, Minister. Kwara Governor rewards winner of presidential debate. Unilag students express happiness over ASU scholarships. Zamfara, Governor Lawal begins 4 billion schools construction and renovation. Poor funding raises concerns for 270 new private universities. And in the international scene, Kansas School District Air Policy for Boys Violate Right, ACLU. Also, fake news classes, media literacy to be taught in California schools. Mr. KAZEEM, out of all this new segment, which, should I say, piques your interest? Which do you think?
Whichever one. It depends on the one that you actually want me to react to. But I know, for instance, I love the one that has to do with the word of scholarship by ASU. So, and I believe that for a lot of people, they must understand that ASU is not just about those probably making noise for government to increase funding for universities or something like that. There are so many other things that ASU, does in order to benefit the humanity, the society at large. And one of it is the fact that the union on an annual basis gives award to indigent people. Within, as far as the funds that they have, no matter how small it is, they feel like they should also reach out to people. And in this case, ASU is actually spending something close to between, $1 million or 2 million naira. And within University of Lagos, I think that particular story actually talks about, the scholarship awarded to students in the University of Lagos. And of the about 10 students that were given scholarships, 2 of them are actually visually impaired. One in final year and one, I think, in 200 level. And with that, they are having about 200,000 naira scholarships. And some other people, about 10 of them, being given about between 100 and 150,000 naira, at least to support them. You know quite well now that the government has actually given the go-ahead to some of the federal institutions to actually increase their fees to be able to meet up with their service charges. So for some of them, they have actually increased the school fees, not tuition fees actually, but then some of these utility fees. And at the end of the day, there are so many students that are actually indigent that cannot meet up with this payment. Of them, two of them actually stood out, and these two are actually visually impaired. So about 200,000 has been given to them as scholarships to assist them. And some of the students are saying that apart from the fact that they'll be able to complete the payment of their school fees, they'll also be able to gain access, have access to hostel accommodation, and with that they can actually concentrate on their studies. Imagine if those ones probably are actually forced to drop out because of inability to pay. And that actually shows the fact that government really needs to do more for the students. Sincerely, this idea that we have to actually allow this is the students that must be responsible for their education, and the government is not ready to really do anything substantial to assist them. I don't think it's in the best of the suffering masses of Nigeria, whose income have actually been wiped out, so to say, because of the removal of fuel subsidy and the consequent inflation that actually hit hard and has eroded the purchasing power of the naira.
Yes.
So.
Well, that's an interesting move by ASU, because it's funny. I remember when the application, should I say the advertisement for this particular scholarship was published. Yeah, it was quite funny because we thought how could ASU actually fund such scholarship when they're always holding the government by the neck. So did they have the capability? Or
The thing is, you don't have to be be a billionaire to actually be philanthropic, no matter how small. And within the mega resources that ASU has, and where does ASU gets its money? It's actually from the subscription of members. The small 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 and they are deducting from as membership due, dues of members is what they are actually able to put together to be able to meet up with some of these things. Now, at the end of the day, you look at it that apart from probably assisting some members when they have issues, these are also ways by which you're also reaching out so that at least some of these students, ASU is telling you that we care about them. The noise over the fact that government should not actually commodify education just like every other goods in the market is actually being championed by ASU. But people feel like ASU is just, some of those noisemakers, they've come again. They are super strikers, like some of you students have actually turned them. Say ASU, they are super strikers. Now. So at the end but then ASU is telling you that we are doing this in your own interest, not because of our members. And sometimes even members have actually complained to ASU that, see, it's like, you people, you are giving too much attention to these students. Give attention to your members. If the government let the students actually get out of the school, if the government feels like it is responsible for their well-being, let government fund education. So, but ASU is saying that we cannot just overlook everything. Then mind you, some of these children that you have in this institution are also children of ASU members because they don't have money to send their kids to private universities. So we are not just fighting for them, we're also fighting for them in the interest of our own children to buy. There are some, members of us who have their children in these universities. There are some who are probably their kids are still, like myself, now my kids are still probably even in primary school. So by then I'm thinking that by the time they get to tertiary institutions, with my meager salary that is not even able to meet up with the payment of, the school fees of my children, what would now happen by the time they get to higher education? What they pay on an annual basis is even more than what my monthly income is. So at the end of the day, what do you think? So we are saying that if we don't fight it now, we would all suffer it. So it's better we all come together. So it's us, the masses, against the political elites, against, between the haves and the have-nots. So it's a class struggle unless we realize it is like that. Well.
Okay. Well, thanks for that.
Another thing.
Yeah, related to that, it says Covenant University increases the salary of their workers by 20% to cushion the effect of subsidy removal.
Now, imagine that. That's a private university. Now, they can afford to do that because ordinarily, with the increment in the cost of running the university.
Sorry, you said they can afford to. Sorry to cut your thought short. You said they can afford to do that.
No, I would explain why I said that. They can afford to, increase the salary of their members by 20%. The implication is, for instance, someone probably that is earning 100,000 naira will not be earning more than 20,000 naira. Someone that is earning probably 400,000 naira will not be earning probably 425,000. That's what we are trying to say. Is that not so? Now, but then what we are looking at is in this case is that no, sorry. What I said earlier was actually wrong. So someone probably earning 400,000, I will not earn 480,000. That has to. All right. So that's 20% increment. So what we are saying is that For these private universities, they get their primary source of fund. Their primary source of fund is actually from the tuition fees paid by their students.
Yep.
Now, so at the end of the day, they can factor in the operational cost and place everything on the cost to be paid by to be incurred by the students. So at the end of it, it's a case of you have your money, come to our institution, we'll give you the best on the basis of the money that you're able to pay. Now, but in the case of public universities, it can't happen like that because the universities cannot just shift their cost to the students directly. That won't be possible. Now, so that's why I said it's easy for them to be able to, and for them, we should even give them kudos that they're actually responsive and responsible towards the well-being of their staff, members of staff. Then at the end of the day, they understand that the cost of living for their members of staff would have increased with the removal of fuel subsidy. And they feel like, at least in our own little way, take this. Using the local pounds, they will tell you that at all ain't bad. That small is better than nothing. Now, in the case of the federal government, what did we have? There is still no discussion even on this issue of probably new salaries or adjustments in the minimum wage. All that they did was to tell you that, okay, we'll do probably the kind of 4-month wage award of 35,000 naira and 25,000 naira. Sorry, 35,000 naira. At the end of the day, now this is November. Do you know that federal government workers have only got once this payment? So it's supposed to start from September,
October, November, and
December. But ordinarily, what did they get? They only got for September, and that is all. For now, we don't even know if at all the October will come or it won't come, whether that of November will come or not. And this is November, going towards its end.
Yeah,
and there is still no
December.
discussion concerning the fact that probably there will be, new salary probably from January next year, when ordinarily the wage award will no longer, be available. But then you would say that there is no money for civil servants, but there will be money for those in the members of the National Assembly, members of the executive, and the political elites generally. For them, see, that is not it is we.
For special advisors, I know.
So that's just to tell you that it is us versus them. See, that is enough ordinarily to take care of our need, but for the political elites, that is not enough to take care of their greed.
Thanks for that, Mr. KAZEEM. So the minister says, like the last one, I think we should just take this. She says science, technology, education key to national development.
Well, it's good. We are saying, but the reality is, we only say it with our words of mouth.
I'm thinking, isn't that already obvious? So why
It
do
is
you say-
obvious, but the reality is, have they backed up with actions? No, that is not true. And at the end of the day, too, you are talking about technology education or technical education. But what we are doing is actually even relegate technical education by the fact that we are converting. Imagine converting polytechnics and all these onto universities and things like that, And at the end of the day, to what exactly have we done in terms of a conscious and deliberate effort towards encouraging technology education in Nigeria, technological education or technical education? So we are not doing enough. Ordinarily, we should be a country where we actually emphasize on technical education, and by that, emphasize the fact that, okay, how can we encourage people to actually attend some of these technical colleges, and graduates of some of those institutes, we actually try to fix them up and try to see where they can apply their skills. Graduates of polytechnics, but what we are actually doing is to frustrate those that have actually gone for some of these, for that have gone to acquire technical education. That's what we are doing. So we are really we are not backing our words with actions. So, and we can see anybody can say anything. We can come up with different policies. We are very, very good when it comes to formulating policies, but we don't implement them. So I believe that, and I want to advise the ministers to actually take a step further beyond just some of these words of mouth, actually, back their words with action.
Okay. So that's what we're going to take on the news for today. Right now, we'll go on a quick break. Education Today continues. Please stay with us.
Bàtà mi àwọ̀ ṣẹ̀rẹ̀rẹ̀ nílẹ̀ o. Bàtà mi àwọ̀ ṣẹ̀rẹ̀rẹ̀ nílẹ̀. Bàtà rẹ̀ àwọ̀ ṣẹ̀rẹ̀rẹ̀ nílẹ̀ o. Bàtà wa àwọ̀ ṣẹ̀rẹ̀rẹ̀ nílẹ̀. Bí n bá kàwé mi, bàtà mi àwọ̀ ṣẹ̀rẹ̀rẹ̀ nílẹ̀.
Welcome back to Education Today. You are welcome to the Icon of the Week segment, where we consider the life and times of individuals that lived inspiring lives and contributed immensely to the educational development in the world. I am Said Aremo Olanrewaju. Our icon for this week is Ayi Koyama, a Ghanaian writer, essayist, and poet best known for his novels The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born, 2000 Seasons, and The Healers. Ayikwe Ama was born in the port city of Sekondi Takoradi in Ghana to Fante-speaking parents, descending from his father's side from a royal family in the Ga Nation on 28 October 1939. From 1953 to 1958, Ama attended Prince of Wales College, now Achimota School, and won a scholarship to study in the United States, where he was between 1959 and 1963. He attended Groton School in Groton, Massachusetts, and then Harvard University, where he received a degree in sociology. He then moved to Algeria and worked as a translator for the magazine Revolution Africaine in 1964. He returned to Ghana, where he was a scriptwriter for Ghana Television, and later taught English at the Navrongo Secondary School. Between 1967 and 1968, Ama was editor of Jeune Afrique magazine in Paris. From 1968 to 1970, Ama studied at Columbia University, obtaining his MFA in creative writing. In the 1970s, he worked as a teacher in East Africa at the College of National Education, Changombe, Tanzania, and at the National University of Lesotho. He subsequently taught at the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, Cornell University, and at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. He has lived in Dakar, Senegal since the 1980s. In the village of Popenguine, about 70 kilometers from Dakar, he established his own publishing house, Per Ank, the African Publication Collective, through which his own books are now available. Beginning his career as a writer in the 1960s, Ama published poems and short stories in the Ghanaian magazine Okeame and in Harper's Magazine, The Atlantic Monthly, and New African. Much of his work deals with the problems of post-colonial Ghana. His first and best-known novel, The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born, was published in 1968. It tells the story of a nameless man who struggles to reconcile himself with the reality of post-independence Ghana. In Fragment, published in 1970, the protagonist, Bako, is a Bintu, a man who has been to the United States and received his education there. Back in Ghana, he is regarded with superstitious awe as a link to the Western lifestyle. Bako's grandmother, Nana, a blind seer, stands in living contact with the ancestors. Under the strain of the unfulfilled expectations, Bako finally breaks. As in his first novel, Ama contrasts the two worlds of materialism and moral values, corruption and dreams, two worlds of integrity and social pressure. Why Are We So Blessed, published in 1972, was set largely in an American university and focused on a student, Modin Dofu, who has dropped out of Harvard. Disillusioned Modi is torn between independence and Western values. He meets a Portuguese Black African named Solo, who has already suffered a mental breakdown, and a white American girl, Amy Rach. Solo, the rejected writer, keeps a diary, which is the substance of the novel. Amy's frigidity and devotion to the revolution leads finally to destruction when Modin is killed in the desert by OAS revolutionaries. The transatlantic and African slave trades are the subject of Ama's 2000 Seasons, published in 1973, in which a pluralized criminal voice speaks through the history of Africa, its wet and dry season from a period of 1,000 years. Arab and European oppressors are portrayed as predators, destroyers, and zombies. The novel is written in allegorical tone and shifts from autobiographical and realistic details to philosophical pondering, prophesying a new age. The Healers, 1978, mixed fact and fiction about the fall of Ashanti Empire. The healers in question are traditional medicine practitioners who see fragmentation as the lethal disease of Africa. Ama remained silent as a novelist for a long period until 1995, when he published Osiris Rising, depicting a radical educational reform group that reinstates ancient Egypt at the center of its curriculum. Belonging to the generation of African writers after Chinua Achebe and Wole Soyinka, Ama has been said to epitomize an era of intense despair. Ama's later work in particular has evoked strong reaction from many critics, while 2000 Seasons has been called dull and verbose, or the product of a philosophy of paranoia and anti-racist racism. In short, Negritude Reborn Soyinka has written that Ama's vision fills itself of borrowed philosophy in its search for unifying, harmonizing ideal for a distinctive humanity. As an essayist, Ama has dealt with the identity and predicament of Africa. His main concern is for the creation of a Pan-African agency that will embrace all the diverse cultures and language of the continent. Ama has called for the adoption of Kiswahili as the continental language. That's all we can take for the icon of the week for today. Education Today continues. Please stay with us.
Bàtà mi àwọn ṣẹrẹrẹ nílẹ̀ tó bá kàwé rẹ̀.
That was the Icon of the Week segment. We celebrate the great author and novelist Ayikwe Ama. Right now, we will take the School in Focus segment with Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Hello, Mr. KAZEEM.
Hello, Said.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. Good afternoon and welcome to the School in Focus segment, where we take a look at institutions of interest, provide a background to their establishment, their administration, and some notable alumni. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Our School in Focus today is the prestigious Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, Nigeria. Obafemi Awolowo University is a federal university in Ile-Ife, Osun State, Nigeria. It is one of the 3 universities established in Nigeria between 1961 and 1962 as a result of the Eric Ashby Commission's report submitted to the federal government of Nigeria in September 1960. This commission surveyed the needs of post-secondary and higher education in Nigeria over the next 20 years. The university was founded on 8th June 1961 as the University of Ife by the regional government of Western Nigeria, which was led by Samuel Ladoke Akintola, with the establishment of the Provisional Council of the University, and was formally inaugurated under the chairmanship of Chief Rotimi Williams, and classes commenced in October 1962. It started operations on the facilities of the previous College of Arts and Sciences, Ibadan, before it moved to its permanent site in Ile-Ife. Oladele Ajose was nominated as the first vice-chancellor of the university. During its foundation, the university established a relationship with the University of Wisconsin. The university sits on a 13,000-acre land donated by the people of Ile-Ife to the Western Regional Government. Israeli architect Ariel Sharon led the architectural planning of the university with a team that later included his son Elder Sharon and Augustine Akwemokan Egbo of Lagos. The initial plan was to build 3 communities. A central campus with a high density would host the academic community and administrative structures. The staff quarters with residential structures be dispersed for privacy, and students' residential halls were built. Decree number 23 of 1975 effected a takeover of University of Ife by the federal military government and established a provisional council as an interim governing body of the university. The university started with 5 faculties, namely agriculture, arts, economics, and social studies, now social sciences, as well as law and science. Currently, the university has 13 faculties and 2 colleges, the postgraduate college and the College of Health Sciences, which are administered in more than 60 departments. The university offers undergraduate and postgraduate programs in fields of specialization spanning the humanities, arts, natural sciences, social sciences, medical sciences, engineering, and technology. It was previously associated with Loma Linda University in California, United States. The student population has risen steadily from 244 in 1962-1963 academic session to over 35,000 at present. The university was renamed Obafemi Awolowo University on 12 May 1987 in honor of Obafemi Awolowo, who lived between 1909 and 1987 and served as the first premier of the Western region of Nigeria, who initially thought of the idea of establishing the university. The university has pioneered the resuscitation and modernization of traditional broadcasting technology. It also pioneered the introduction of the entrepreneurship education at the undergraduate level, and this has now been adopted nationally by the National Universities Commission, NUC. It is the leading ICT university with a bandwidth of 113 megabits per second, as well as a pioneer in iLab. The first iLab in Africa, south of Sahara, was developed and established in OAU in collaboration with MIT. The university staff has included 1 Nobel laureate and 6 Nigerian National Merit Award winners, and has pioneered kidney transplants in Nigeria. Nigeria's only Nobel Prize winner in literature and first African laureate, Wole Soyinka, served as professor of comparative literature at the University of Ife from 1975 to 1999. In 1999, he was appointed an emeritus professor of dramatic art at the university. Some of the notable alumni of Obafemi Awolowo University include Adebayo Adelabu, a former deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and current minister of power, Akim Additional, the president of the African Development Bank and a former Nigerian Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development. You also have Abike Dabiri, former member of the House of Representatives and chairman of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM. Kayode Fayemi, a former governor of Ekiti State. Other former governors like Shegun Oni, Olagunsoye Oyinlola, and Akeredolu of Ondo State. You also have Lucky Rabo, a former chief of defense staff of Nigeria. Oluremi Tinubu, a former senator of Lagos and current first lady of Nigeria. Dele Momodu, a Nigerian journalist, businessman, CEO of Ovation International Magazine. Femi Otedola, the Nigerian business mogul and philanthropist. Fatu Bensouda, the current chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court in The Hague, and Femi Falana, Nigerian human rights lawyer. Professor Folashade Ogunshola, the current vice chancellor of the University of Lagos, and Pastor Enoch Adeboye, General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, are also products of the university. For those who are interested in attending the university, to gain admission into Obafemi University, you will typically need to meet the admission requirements set by the university. This usually involves the taking of the Joint Admission Matriculation Board JAM Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination and meeting the minimum score required for your desired course. It's also important to keep an eye out for the university's admission process and deadlines. For more information, you can reach out to the university via its website. That's our school in focus for today. I remain OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Education Today continues in a moment. Please stay with us.
Ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá, ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá, ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa.
You are still on to Education Today on Light Radio, and we're moving into this discourse segment. Our guest is here with us already, and we're going to be discussing proliferation of universities between increasing access and reduction in quality. Again, proliferation of universities between increasing access and reduction in quality. A quick background. There are growing concerns over the proliferation of mushroom universities and inadequate budgetary allocations to education, as the federal government is considering 270 fresh applications for private universities. If approved, this request will bring the number of universities to 528, a whopping number of which 118 will be privately owned. Currently, Nigeria has about 258 universities, comprising 50 federal, 60 state, and 148 private universities. About 90 universities were approved by the National Universities Commission (NUC) in the last 8 years, including 10 federal, 22 state, and 58 private universities. As many analysts support the establishment of these universities to increase access to the rising population of students demanding admission, there are also concerns over the funding challenges faced by the institutions and corresponding impact on infrastructure, recruitment of qualified academic staff, meeting global standards, and quality of output from these universities in terms of graduate, research outcomes, and linkages with industry to address perennial issues facing the economy and the society as a whole. Joining us on the program today is, of course, our in-house analyst and educational consultant, researcher, and a lecturer at the University of Lagos, Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Good afternoon, sir, once more.
Good afternoon, Said. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Remember, you can be part of this discourse by sending your comments and questions to 00973844000 or drop your comment via the live video feeds on Facebook and YouTube. Before moving into the discourse proper, our short quiz question: what is the name of Ayo Koyama's first and best known novel? Again, what is the name of Ayo Koyama's, who is our icon of the week, the name of his first and best known novel? Send your answer to the WhatsApp number 080973844000 or our Facebook or YouTube page as comment. The first correct answer wins the prize. So, to you, Mr. KAZEEM, our first question. Nigeria currently has 260 universities. Do you consider this too much or too small?
Thank you very much for that question. 260 universities. Considering the population of Nigeria is over 200 million people. I won't say that 260 universities, as a number is actually too much and is not too less. Are you with me? I think it's just okay for our population. But for some people, they might look at it comparatively. If you look at some other countries of the world, like the United States of America has over 5,000 universities, and the population is actually less than 350 million people. So if you now have Nigeria over 200 million people and you just have 260 universities, that's probably where it's not too much if you look at the population. But at the same time, you might look at it. It's not just is it just about the number or about the sustainability or the functionality of these universities? So, but as a number, I don't think it's too much. But how functional are they? Should be, the major focus
Okay.
beyond just having that number.
Yeah, just on that note, you said the United States has over 5,000 universities to cater to, say, roughly 250 million people. So are you saying all of these 500,000 universities are functional? Like, how do you define functional?
When it says university is functional, it's meeting the needs of the students, it's meeting the needs of the immediate society, it is contributing in terms of research, is able to sustain itself, in terms of recognition, in terms of functionality, in terms of the outputs. See, a university exists to produce, transfer, disseminate knowledge, which can come in form of teaching and learning in normal classroom, or in terms of research and its outputs in solving the problems of the society, and at the same time also providing other ancillary support services to the immediate community around the university. So if it's able to do all this effectively to the satisfaction of the university community, both within and outside the university itself, the university environment, then you would say it is functional. Then, if you also look at it in terms of what the society really needs, is the university able to meet up with the needs of the society? Is it solving its problems? Is it addressing the critical issues? Is it coming up with ideas that can be used to actually solve the problems of the society? If it's able to meet up with that, then
It is functional.
it is functional.
Okay, thank you for that. So now, what do you say to the move by the NUC to license 217 private universities?
Well, in this case, ordinarily, because it is private universities, I would not have problem with it if ordinarily the due process is followed, the necessary requirements are in place. In terms of, it's not just a university is not just about the space, the land that you acquire for it. It's a function of infrastructure. It's a function of the staff. It's a function of the quality of teaching and learning that goes on in there. It's a function of the quality of research that goes on in there. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So it's a function of its responsiveness to the needs of the society. In terms of the services it is offering, it is services that actually meet up. There are services that meet up with the needs of the society in terms of knowledge, in terms of research, in terms of linkage with industry, in terms of solving the problems of the society, in terms of everything that you say that yes, in terms of advancement of knowledge,
In terms of development of technology.
all these things. There are things that if they are able to meet up with that, yes, you can say you have a university. But some of the universities that we are having, are they meeting up? These are questions that we really need to look at. How many students do they have? How many staff do they have? Are these, when we talk about a full complement of a university, do they have what it requires? So it's not just about having the land space, or probably because you are very close to the executive secretary of the NUC, or you are very close to the Minister of Education who can actually give such approval, or they can present such before the President at the Federal Executive Council, just say, okay, approve, and you just approve. And at the end of the day, you visit the place and you're like, it's not more than a glorified secondary school. So, what exactly are we looking at? Are we looking at the capacity of the proprietors of the universities to effectively run the university? Do they have the necessary funding required for a university to operate? In terms of corporate governance, do they have mechanism in place with which the university itself can run by itself with little or no interference from the proprietor? So these are the things we should look at critically. If all that happens, then I don't see a problem. Like I said, compared to the number of people that are demanding university education and the existing number of universities that we have, I don't think it's too much. I don't have a problem with more people coming up to say that, okay, fine, we want to apply. Do they have what it requires? I'm sure the NUC has requirements that they give them. Okay, since you say you want to establish a university, okay, these are the requirements. Go and work on them. Let's see. We'll give you a provisional period. Go and do that. When you have satisfied these conditions, come back, they will come and inspect. If the due process is followed, that is no problem with the application for 270. Mind you, where did we start from initially? Even at the dawn of this new millennium, how many universities do we have in total? How many do we have now? We're told that in the last 8 years, in the background that you gave, that we have about 90 applications that were processed, 52 of which were actually from private universities, 22 state universities, 10 federal universities. Do you get that? So at the end of it, by the time you look at that number and you're like, oh, so what exactly are we having? So if you have these if you have about almost 90 universities within a span of 8 years, but the question should be that how functional are those universities that have been established in the last 8 years? And that our university grew from probably just 100 now to about 260 in just about 20 years or 25 years.
And now we are pushing 520.
Now we want to double it. Double. Within how many years? Now it's a function of, by the time one of the questions that you should be asking those who want to establish it is, where are you hoping to get the students? Do we have the students? Yes, we have the students. But do we have students that have the capacity to pay? Majority of the students that we have, where are they really interested in going? Public universities or private universities? Then, where are you also hoping to get the academic staff from? Do we have ready-made academic staff that work in these universities? I'm not saying they don't exist, but have really done our homework in that regard. In terms of funding, where is the money coming from? Who is ready to put down the money? Where is it coming from? And how sustainable is the funding? Then again, you look at it. Where is this university to be sited in terms of land space and in terms of projecting into the future? Are you looking at where is okay? If you have a small space and you say you want to start a university here, what if the university is now has expansion need? So if there is a need for you to now expand, are you looking at the existing land space? Is this something that can actually accommodate for that expansion, or that it will now be something that will now require you moving to another, so to say, permanent site? These are some of the things that we should really look at. But if all the boxes have been properly ticked and the requirements are met, there is nothing wrong with 270 universities. Then, mind you, ordinarily, when establishing universities, we should be global in thinking and in outlook, in the sense that we should not be establishing universities that will only cater for Nigerians. But unfortunately, in terms of what we have put on ground, it's probably only Nigerians that are actually coming. But you're looking at, if you have universities even in Ghana, neighboring Ghana here, and at the end of the day, in their plan, Nigerians are actually in their plan. Do you know how many Nigerians that have moved to Ghana for university education? Even Benin Republic here, our immediate neighbor. Do you know the number of Nigerian students that you have in Benin Republic? If it's not, I'm not even sure if at all the number of Nigerian students are not more than the citizens of Benin that are actually in those universities. So, can we be forward thinking and forward looking in terms of establishing universities and putting infrastructure in place, the academic staff and every other thing in place that will even attract studentship from the whole of Africa, if not the whole of the world? And not just even studentship, even staff that will be willing and wish that they want to come and work in Nigeria. So if that is in the mindset of those who want to establish these 270 universities, so be it. I don't see a problem there.
Okay, thank you. And just to buttress your point, you mentioned while you were taking the investing focus, right? For the assignment of Obafemi University, there was like an actual commission set up, the Eric Ashby Commission, that looked into the need for,
Higher education
and
in
then
Nigeria for 20 years.
exactly for 20 years, and then they really had 3 universities set up. So you had Unilag, UI, and what is that? Then? So I don't know. The same process is not actually being followed now. So this is just like an addendum to what you said.
You know, that particular time they were actually planning for post-independence, so they were forward looking at, okay, the whites are leaving, then we must assess this new independent nation to plan its manpower development for the next 20 years. Those that will be able to take over from the expatriates that will leave this country following the independence. So we must have existing institutions in place that can train the required manpower to run the economy. Now, in the current state, are we also looking at universities that can provide the quality of manpower training required to actually engineer the Nigerian economy beyond the current challenges it is having?
So, our universities, the next question, how functional and globally competitive would you say they are?
Oh, well, let me first start with this. You know, some of these universities are actually been established. You must look at what are the factors actually pushing the proprietors, because that is what would probably now make you think how functional are they, or probably in terms of the thinking of those who set it up. They actually set it up for them for this university to actually meet up with global competitiveness and to be able to compete effectively with other universities, any other university in the world. Such was not the thought behind the establishment of some of these universities. The major idea is actually for economic reasons. That we know that the public universities are failing, and our friends in government are actually not ready to do the needful. So one way or the other, they're actually creating a market for us. So we must be ready to actually respond to this market that's actually been opened for us. So it's purely for pecuniary and economic reasons. So that's the idea. We want to tap into the markets that is actually being created, because a lot of Nigerians are getting frustrated with the public university system. Continuous strikes, dilapidated infrastructure, what have you, the lack of, required, staff, because if you look at, just like the other time we discussed, the workload of lecturers. So at the end of the day, lecturers are stressed and they are, overworked. And we're like, okay, fine. So that we can actually tap into some of those places, because the students themselves see that these lecturers, they don't have time for us. The workload is too much for them. And we need those people who actually want quality. They have the capacity to pay, because these Nigerians are going abroad to pay. So why don't we actually tap into that market? Instead of them taking the money abroad, let them bring the money to us. So we'll provide the, the educational services that they need. We'll give them the education they need, and they bring the money that they want to take abroad. So we'll be able to benefit from it. And naturally, the average Nigerian is more interested in stability of academic calendar and getting the certificate, not necessarily even the quality.
Yeah, but getting the certificate.
Getting the certificate is the primary interest of some of these students. So that at least in 4 years I have graduated and I'm done with university education. That's the preoccupation in their mind. So it's not because they really want the best of service, the best of quality, the best of training. They are not interested in that. Not everybody is interested. That is the truth. Yeah, because if you look at even some of the products of these private universities and ask them, you meet with them, and like, for goodness sake, see, we can point to of the existing over 100 universities, over 100 private universities that we have in Nigeria today. Those that really have the quality are not up to 20. Majority are just glorified secondary schools. They are just trading the certificates. So that's it. So at the end of the you see, Nigerians are going to Benin Republic. I'll tell you, in 2 years, you'll get your degree certificate. Nigerians are running there. So you look at it, is it the training they're interested or just the certificate? It's the certificate. It's, if you tell an average Nigerian today that you get this certificate, if you actually pay for this, you do this training, one day you get the BSc certificate, they will pay. So it is this market these people want to tap into. So at the end of the day, if you now look at that and you compare, now you ask the question of how functional are they and how competitive are they? Even the public universities that we are setting, because even our public universities now have now turned to constituency projects. So you have private universities that are only being set up for monetary reasons. You have public universities that are being set up, being sponsored
for political reasons.
for political experience, so that then when they say, what did you do for your people, at least when I was there, I gave you university.
Yeah.
I brought a university to the hometown. I brought a university to this state. Oh, I established 3 universities. This is and so. Even our governor Sanwo-Olu said, at least we would say now I've established 2 universities under my administration. I gave Lagos LASUSTEC and LASUET. Even though it's not as if there is any new thing, other than the fact that you turned a polytechnic to college of education, and the existing 2 colleges of education that you had in the state, you turned it to a university of education. So then when they say, what would you say? At least I gave Lagos 2 universities under my own administration. So these schools are actually being set up for political reasons, public universities. So at the end of the day, you now look at it on the global ranking of universities in the world. Top universities in the world in terms of the quality that they have, quality of instruction, the quality of their output, the quality of their graduates, the quality of their web presence, the quality of research that they undertake, and things like that, the quality of funds that they are, the quality and quantity of funds they are able to attract because of the wonderful things they are doing. Where do we stand in Africa when they come up with the rank of top universities in Africa? If you look at probably the first 20 or first 30, hardly would you see one Nigerian university there. And within this same ranking, you will find South Africa having about 5, 10, on a rank of 20, you have nothing less than 5 South African universities. You have nothing less than 3 or 4 Egyptian universities. And Nigeria will be struggling for probably one with probably number 20 position in Africa. And in the world, you will see South African university in the first top 200. At least about 2 of them, you will see them consistently. But Nigerian universities, probably the first one will come within the 500 to 600 band.
Yes.
That's where we usually stay. And that one is even more of a recent thing.
Just to be worse.
So that is it, that in terms of global competitiveness, it's not as if we are there. We are not. And that should give us a cause to be worried. It's a cause for concern that we are just increasing the number of universities without a corresponding increase in quality. Yes, we might be meeting up with the need of increasing access, but then even JAM will tell you, Professor Olode will tell you that it's not as if that, because ordinarily if you look at it, we have about an average of 1.8 million students seeking admission into our tertiary institutions on an annual basis. Eventually, you only get to say about 600,000 gaining admission. Out of this 600,000, about 500,000 of them actually go to the universities. Now, you have about 1.2 million left. Now, the question is, this 1.2 million, is it because they don't have the capacity to gain, or they don't want to? A lot of time you might see it's because of the absorptive capacity of the existing universities, or in another case, because some of the courses that they wanted, they could not get them because they have specific courses they are targeting, and there are some other courses that need more people, but people are not actually picking those courses. So it's not really total. And Jan will tell you that it's arguable if you say that that you don't have enough capacity, that we have actually not filled the total capacity. But even when we fill the total capacity, it is actually less than 800,000. So at the end of the day, you still have over 1 million people that have not been able to gain admission spaces. So if we now establish these additional universities, then you might say more. But the reality is, the existing universities, the majority of the students that are out there do not have the wherewithal to actually, attend some of these universities. Because a lot of them are interested in public universities, and the public universities are not admitting as much as people are applying into them. So it becomes it becomes stiffer to gain admission into them, because they feel like they are still cheaper. But the existing universities are not increasing the capacity, so absorb more. And unfortunately, the ones that we have established, we are not even funding them effectively.
Thank you. So next question, just quickly, right? You've identified some of these issues, but in depth, what are the challenges facing Nigerian universities?
Inadequate funding, poor governance,
For governance.
lack
Part
of priority.
like-
Poor governance on the part of, especially for those state universities, on the part of those who actually run them.
Okay.
See, it's a case of look at some of the charade going on in Osun State now. Although a particular polytechnic, the governor says this is the person that I want to be there. The governor wants a particular person that did not even qualify during the screening stage. The person that was best qualified, that performed well in the screening, the governor does not want that person.
And poor governance in that case should not be on the part of the university.
And that's what I'm saying, on the part of the proprietors.
Okay.
And that's why I gave example of state universities. And even some private universities, in the case of the owner feels like this is what I want, so you either do exactly as I want. And but like, this might not really be in the best interest of the university. What's my own best interest? What's my own with global best practices? I'm talking about what can bring in money for me. So if you don't agree with us, what would happen?
You'll be
And because the proprietors are directly involved in the day-to-day running of some of these institutions. So they are tied to the apron strings of their proprietors. And that becomes a problem too. So when we talk about university autonomy in that particular angle, that is a problem. You also look at it in terms of the quality of academic staff. Probably beyond the public university, the private university, a lot of them still actually even come to poach the public university staff. Are you with me?
Yes.
Then, in terms of motivation, even for the staff in this university, it's a problem. Because let me tell you, majority of these universities still pay the same salary structure as it obtains in the public university system. So it's not as if they are doing better in order to attract the best of brains. If probably they are attracting the best of brains, say, oh, if you pay them well, something better than what the federal government is paying, the federal government staff, then probably some of those are actually frustrated. They will go there. You say on the basis, at least if the pay is good for you, you would go. But a lot of them are not even doing that. Except for one or two. Like this one that just had announced 20% increment. So but it's not the same probably for every other university. So beyond that, what's the state of infrastructure in our universities? We talk about the fact that some of these other private universities are not better than glorified secondary schools. We know those private universities in Nigeria that have the quality of infrastructure and say, yes, this is a university. The infrastructure, as much as we'll complain that the public universities are not doing well in terms of infrastructure, the infrastructure there is still better than what some private universities boast of.
In fact, a lot of them.
And at the end of the day, so the question you now ask yourself is, why did you come into the business when you don't have the capacity to provide the needed infrastructure? In terms of facilities, in terms of classrooms, in terms of laboratories, in terms of libraries, that will command attention from the whole of the country, if not even beyond Nigeria. That, in this particular university, you want the best of so and so, go to this particular university. We know those, we can count them, so but we don't want to give them free advert here.
No, of course not. We're not doing that here.
So those are part of the problems. So the motivation is not there, the conducive learning environment is not there. The funding that should really go to education, if truly we have accorded education a priority, is not there. So how then are we now able to sustain it? And how well do we have in terms of our research outputs too? We are nowhere to be found. How many patents do we have for the Nigerian university system as a whole? All that we have as a whole is not up to what one university in the US has. So you look at that and you're like, the budget of a university in the United States is bigger than the budget of a whole state in some of our Nigerian states. The budget of one university. One.
Yes. Well, we'll go on a short break now. When we return, the discussion continues. Please stay with us.
ọmọ tí kò gbẹ́kọ̀ ó dání lójú pé yóò kíyà ọmọ tí kò gbà ẹ̀kọ́ ó dání lójú pé yóò kíyà iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n wá tún fọ́lé ẹ̀dá kún yé ẹ̀yìn òbí wa lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n wá
You're still listening to Education Today on Light Radio, and we are discussing proliferation of universities between increasing access and reduction in quality. And we have Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM, a lecturer in the Department of Educational Management, University of Lagos, as our guest discussant. Don't forget, you can be part of this discussion by sending your comments, questions, and contributions. You can reach us on Facebook via www.facebook.com/Light Radio, Twitter @The Light Radio, Instagram Light_Radio, YouTube Light Radio. You can also send a message or call us via SMS or WhatsApp on 0809-738-4000. A reminder of our short quiz: what is the name of Ayikwe Ama's first and best known novel? Send your answer to the WhatsApp number 0809-738-4000 or our Facebook or YouTube page. The first correct answer wins the prize. Just to check if there has been a winner for our quiz session.
Beyond just even the winner, at least to see those who are actually following us. How else do we have Zainab Alabi? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms.
for
Zainab,
joining us. So, all right, let's continue with the discuss.
Yeah, so Mr. KAZEEM, why are experts concerned about the issue of this
Proliferation
of universities?
A lot of experts are worried because we are only having increasing the number. We are not looking at increasing the quality of the existing universities. That's one. The number two is also the fact that, especially for the sake of the public universities, there seems to be an inverse relationship between the number of universities and the funding of education in Nigeria. Before 1975, we only had 6 universities, and the 6 universities were adequately funded. What they asked was what they got. In 1975, we established 5 or 6 small federal universities, and from that 1975, they started having shortfall, and it has continued unabated since then till today. So it means the more the universities we establish, the lower the funding they get individually. So experts are worried that if we now continue on this trend, what will eventually become of the public university system? So, and is this not a deliberate attempt to actually kill or obliterate the public university system? So that at the end of the day, anyone that actually wants education, you would just go to it. The same way they've done for public primary and secondary education,
schools, yes.
where they have actually left, abandon the public education system for the non-entities, so to say, the masses, those who really don't have any ambition in life. Because they feel like if you really have an ambition in life, you will not send your child to a school where there are no teachers, where there are no chairs to sit on, where students sit on the floor to learn. If just this week, a public school in Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, it emerged in the news that students were sitting on the floor. And that's because of that report in the press. The minister of the Federal Capital Territory now says that school will be refurbished. Does it have to get to that level before we do the needful? So now, is that what we also now want to happen to the public university system? Because already that is what is happening. It's as if it's a deliberate attempt, because some of these people that we have in government already have their own privately established universities. So at the end of the day, the public universities, they feel like the public universities are good if they are properly funded, if they have the right infrastructure, they have the motivated staff. Many students will not bother to go to the private university because they know what is there. If you still want the best of hands, the best of infrastructure, the best of training, you probably still get from the public universities in Nigeria. So they feel like we just have to kill it deliberately, but in an indirect manner, so that there will be more markets for them. And that is why you're having more private universities. And they feel like, and unfortunately, even these private universities that have been set up are still not even crying that they should be getting funding from government, that they should be getting money from TED Fund. So you now look at it that, why? You are private setup now, so why are you still now asking for more money from the government?
Exactly.
So it shows quite well that they don't have the capacity to really maintain some of these universities. So, but then what is happening? So the experts are concerned that we are not saying people should not establish private universities, but we don't have to destroy the existing public university system before we can actually create market for these ones. Let it be a matter of choice for the people to decide where they want to go to, either the public or the private. But then let them probably have the same level of infrastructure, and even for the public universities, if not more, because we're talking about taxpayers' money. You are not saying people should not pay tax anymore. You continue to collect tax. In fact, you are even increasing the tax, introducing new items. But at the end of the day, what they are getting in return is less than what they are giving to the government. So, and that is why people are concerned that we are not giving attention to the public university system, and it's not good. So we should not kill the public university system. And the more they do this, the more government feels like, after all, there are options for the people. So we really don't need to even disturb ourselves anymore. So we can start to even say we want to even pull out of funding education, like they are trying to do now. But if ordinarily there are no private university, all probably what you just have is a public university, everybody will have no choice but to ensure that they function. But if they are not, you have more than enough private universities, and at the end they say, see, if you like, don't go, you people go on strike, that our children are in private universities, so we don't have any problem. We don't need to be bothered.
All right, so thank you for that. So how do you think this issue can be addressed? Is there like a need to freeze the establishment of private universities?
Well, what I would say that I don't think democratically it will be right to freeze the establishment of private universities. We can actually put more stringent conditions for the establishment of the private universities to ensure that these conditions will be. It is only when these conditions are met that the licenses can be approved. That's number one. Number two is also the fact that is, I want to suggest that there should be a freeze for now on the public university, the establishment of new public universities. Yes. Imagine setting of 32 public universities in 8 years. That's criminal. When the existing ones are not properly funded. What do you mean? So the implication is, imagine that you have 10 billion to go for 50 universities. Now you are still retaining the same 10 billion, you now have 100 universities. What would happen? It means what is actually going for the 50 universities will not be halved. It will not be smaller.
Yes.
And that is what is happening. So there should be a freeze on the establishment of public universities. So let us properly fund the existing ones. Let us empower them so that they can improve their capacity to absorb more students. If ordinarily, let's say that, look at the top universities, the first generation universities in Nigeria, the University of Ibadan of this world, the University of Nigeria Nsukka, the University of Lagos, University of Obafemi University, and Ahmadu Bello University, as well as University of Benin. These first 6 universities are the first generation universities that we have in Nigeria. Imagine if ordinarily their total absorptive capacity is probably just 100,000 students. What if we double it so that these universities altogether can accommodate about 200,000 or 300,000 students? Do you know more people that actually want to go to these public universities? So what if we increase their capacity to absorb more students? They are the ones that still command the highest number of applicants every year in UTME. So why don't we assist them, improve the facility, improve the infrastructure, employ more staff so that they can admit more students? Then the few ones, those ones that are unable to now go there, can go to state universities. The states ordinarily too can do the same for their own universities, employ more staff, improve their infrastructure, find a way to reduce the cost of the cost that is borne by the students for attending state universities, or as a policy, provide bursary and scholarships for indigenes of the state, so that at the end of the day, it will force each state to actually take care of its own citizens. So if Lagos State is taking care of its own indigenes, Ogun State takes care of its own indigenes, Abia State takes care of its own indigenes, Imo State takes care of its own indigenes, Kaduna State takes care of its own indigenes, Kano State takes care of its own indigenes, the pressure on the federal universities will be reduced. The universities can now run effectively with more funding from the government now. So it's not as if it's just a case of we'll say it by words of mouth, go and settle yourselves. At the end of the day, everything they want to do, the universities are the ones that will have to take care of it. And let me also use this point, because we raised it here. Now, we've got it that the president has actually intervened and has actually stopped that move, or the 40%, IGR, deduction of IGR of the federal universities. He has actually stopped it now. So kudos to the president, at least for stepping in, for suspending that move. And because I believe it is criminal to do that. So for the president, it shows one way or the other. Thank you, at least for showing that you listen to us. No, seriously, we need to see. For me, when they do well,
we praise them.
Yes. When they don't do well, we criticize them. It is the objectivity matters. So now, when we said it that they are trying to collect 40%, and the universities cried out, now the government has responded. So let us also praise them. Now let us tell you people, they have responded and they have suspended it. So the president has actually suspended that move. But in the first instance, does it make any sense?
It does not.
It does not make any sense. So, and we should not think of such in the future. If anything, we are trying to free up funds from fuel subsidy. Let us now divert that into education, health, and other social infrastructure for the people. So I think it is important that we do this. That is the establishment of public universities. For private universities, you might even decide that, come up with a policy. The existing ones, let us do an evaluation of their sustainability. Let us do, a stress test, the same way we do for banks, where they look at it. Do you have the capacity to still run? Is this sustainable the way you are running? Let them open the books. Let NUC check what is going on there. If they feel that you don't have the capacity to run it, you can actually affiliate it to one or bigger. You can have 2-3 private universities merged together, so that at the end of the day, you say, okay, I am only running a particular school or college or something like that, and there is a bigger university. So at the end of the day, we are running about 3 different campuses. So whatever returns or money that is income is coming from each campus can go to each proprietor. But at the end of the day, so let us have, so that at the end of the day, instead of having 3 different universities that cannot run individually, can have one university with 3 different campuses that that is more efficient. So something like that, so that at the end of the day, we should not be having glorified secondary school. A university should be a university in all its ramifications, and not just something because I feel I only have capacity to run one course and I say I'm establishing a university. If that is what we have, let us run monotechnics. Yes, let us run monotechnics. So if you are running a film school, you are running a film school. At least in some academies like that, they award degrees. In other countries, actually, they award degrees. But it's just a monotechnic, and they have the capacity because they have all the facilities in place to do that. So if you only have specialization in one particular field, please run a monotechnic and apply for degree status from the NUC, so that we know that at least in terms of everything, you only have capacity to run this course. So let us have University of Filmography or Cinematography, something like that. That we know that it is only about this particular field. You see, it's better, and we know that is a niche that you have carved for yourself, and people know you for that, and you have the capacity to do that. You are the best in that entrepreneurship university, and you do anything entrepreneurship and everything. That is what we are. That is your own specialization. Yeah. It's better we have specialist universities than we have generalized universities that don't have specialization in any field.
Perhaps we need to pay attention to that.
Seriously.
On a final note, what can the government do to improve the quality and access to university education in Nigeria?
Improve funding. You
just mentioned one thing.
That's one. Okay. No. So because that is central to every other thing. Okay. Improve funding. Let us improve the quality assurance, mechanism too, so that at the end of the day, we don't have universities that only have facilities when NUC is coming for accreditation. They go to other schools to get facilities. They go to hire staff and do many other things. And after accreditation, they disperse them. No, we don't want that. In fact, unscheduled visits, unscheduled accreditation, on-the-spot visits to some of these schools, not the ones that are announced. We need to do that. Beyond that, there is a need to actually check the books, the accounts of these universities. See, there is a lot of them lack corporate governance. There is no accountability, there is no transparency in the way some of these universities are run. It's it's something that we really need to look into. Then beyond that, we should be global in our outlook. Let us look at universities that can compete globally. In fact, I feel like the federal government can even pay attention to. He's saying that probably each geopolitical zone should have one university that would have a global status that can compete. A university, for instance, okay, in the whole of Western region, probably let us have one. Or if it is that, okay, this first generation university, let us devote enough funds and devote enough attention such that these universities can actually even can compete with the likes of Harvard, the likes of Cambridge, the likes of Oxford, that these are our own top universities. In the US, they also have them like that now. You have the MIT, you have the Yale University, you have Harvard and the likes like that can really compete. They also have some other ones, small ones, but you have these top ones. In the UK, you have the KCL, you have the Imperial College, you have all these ones like that, Cambridge, Oxford. Look, you know that in this country, these are the ones. So why can't you also do same for Nigeria? Devote attention so that at the end of the day, when we talk about top universities in Nigeria, or in fact top universities in the world, at least 6 universities in Nigeria can actually appear there in the list of first 100 universities in the world. You know, I believe that it is something that is possible. It's only a matter of, do we have the political will to do that? And are we really even thinking in that direction? So it's now a function, okay, what do we need to make these universities like that? So whatever they need, they will provide it. Do you get it? So, see, there is nothing wrong in having different classification for universities. In the world, they'll tell you that you have Ivy League schools. In some Ivy League universities exist in different countries. So, where is our own Ivy League universities?
I know yet to be born. Yes.
Okay, so probably let's look at that then.
All right. Thanks, Mr. KAZEEM, for this insight. Those are very, very, very wonderful. So that's all we can take on the discourse segment for today. We would like to appreciate our international analyst, Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM, for the beautiful insight that he has provided on today's program. We'll go on another break now, and we'll be back for the What's on the Marble. Please stay with us. Welcome to the Words on the Marble segment of Education Today, where we take a look at memorable quotes that are educational and inspirational to everyone. Today, we have a quote from Aristotle. According to him, the educated differ from the uneducated as much as the living differ from the dead. That's our Words on the Marble for today. No matter the cost or difficulty involved in acquiring education, it can never be compared or substituted with ignorance. Let us put in our best to acquire it, while the government must spare no cost to provide it for the citizens. So, do we have any winner for our quiz question? I don't think we do. Anyway, the answer to that is the answer to the question and the winner is Alma's first and best known novel is The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. However, there is no winner, but that is the answer to the novel. And the book was published in 1968. This is to inform you, our esteemed listeners, that you can advertise your product and services and also showcase your events on our program. This you can do by calling the numbers 0703-953-8998 or 0702-507-4268. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let's know how you feel about today's program through our various platforms on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Education Today, Twitter at Education Today, Instagram education_2, and YouTube Education Today. You can also send an email to educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Many thanks to the entire crew of Education Today and the management of Light Radio. The supervising producer has been TY as the control room, and Mr. KAZEEM as one of our lead producers also. Do join us the same time next week on this station. I remain Said Aremu, and with me is. So see you next week and goodbye.
Ẹ̀kọ́ dára púpọ̀, ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́. Ẹ̀kọ́ dára púpọ̀, ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, tẹ́ bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga, ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, tẹ́ bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa. Ẹ dákun yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa, tẹ́ bá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa.